Show your bling and let me shine you.
I have no idea what you're saying. And your suit sucks.
No! Let's dance!
Hey everyone, it's Vivi and welcome to some more Sly Cooper. This time I'd like to talk about Dimitri Lousteau, everyone's favorite purple iguana, with the greatest sense of fashion and street slang. Dimitri is the only member in the Claw Gang who, number 1, started off as a criminal, and 2, who heavily became an asset to the Cooper gang, moving from the criminal lifestyle to someone the gang can now trust. This is what I call awesome character development in the Sly Cooper series. That's basically the appeal of this character. This is why Dimitri is a lot of people's favorite character. Not because of his popular slangs or the way he speaks, it's just how he was involved with the gang in the series is what's interesting about the guy. So how did his story begin? What did he do before all this? And why did he find himself in this situation? Dimitri, we can believe, grew up in a family of 5. This picture shown in Sly 3 implies Dimitri had a close relationship with his mother and grandparents. Surprisingly, the series never mentioned Dimitri having a sister. I mean, who is that supposed to be? One can't help but wonder, if that is his sister, what was she like? Would she have grown up with the same influences as Dimitri, or would she have happily grown, on her own, living her separate life, somewhere? All we can do right now is imagine. Speaking of grandparents, his grandfather really was an important aspect of his life. It is said that he grew up on his grandpapa's stories, which tells us he was very fond of him, at least. According to a bonus video in Sly 2, a developer's commentary, Dimitri's vocabulary actually comes from him watching music videos.
The coolest part about Dimitri is how he talks. English is his second language, and he learned all his English from watching hip-hop videos.
Have you no vision? Are you hearing what I mean to you?
As gentle and kind as he looks in this picture, looks can sometimes be deceiving. Now, of course he was innocent as a kid, but later on he got into some stuff that perhaps he wouldn't have imagined as a kid. Someone may look like a sweetheart on the outside, but on the inside, you don't know what can develop. Apart from his grandfather's stories, Dimitri as a young kid tried pursuing the world of art by using his own method of artwork, swinging off a rope and applying his own aesthetic. Well, unfortunately, the world didn't quite understand nor appreciate his style. What happens next? He reaches a point in his life where forging art was the key to success. Have you ever wondered why his father was never in this family picture? I mean, where is he? Either A, he died, or B, his parents were divorced. Why? I'd like to assume it was due to his father's toxic nature, his attitude, which perhaps Dimitri also inherited unknowingly, at least until he got older. This right here, that mad look in his eyes, this is what Sly imagined in his head, the way he describes Dimitri's past. If this, in fact, the way he was feeling at that time is true, then whatever he was feeling, I'd like to call it impulsive control disorder. Someone who can't control their emotions. Whenever something doesn't happen the way you want it to happen, you know something completely opposite to your own expectations, well, you just completely lose it. Think about it. Moving from criminal activities to actually turning into a protagonist. Something tells me Dimitri grew up with a toxic father. He thought that cheating success in life was the motto. That's probably something he learned from his father, unintentionally, until he got older. When someone grows up in a toxic relationship or with dysfunctional parents, at least when it comes to his father, that's just a theory, the child might get used to that and see it as normal. Unfortunately, that will affect the child mentally. That's what might have caused Dimitri to completely flip after being rejected. Maybe this is an attitude his father had in the past. Maybe that's why his parents weren't together. But Vivi, aren't you contradicting what you said about him growing up with the stories of his grandfather? Shouldn't that have given him a positive perspective on life? I never said his grandpa's stories gave him a prosperous life. I did not say that. It's likely he took the idea of becoming rich like his grandfather. That's how he became rich. He went diving into the sea to locate loot, and in the end he became rich. He likely took that idea and mixed it with his father's scheming nature, if that ever was the case. He thought forging art was the best way to make money. And with that, eventually he collects a lot of money, enough to open his own nightclub. I mean, seriously, how did he even afford a club? Art forgery. What else could it be? But that's not all that happened. According to the Sly comic issue number 1, I don't know if you've ever read it, but it is a comic which takes place before the start of Sly 2 Band of Thieves. Dimitri, before this whole Paris escapade, well, he apparently had a mansion in Monaco, an engagement with Madame Doinko. There was a celebration happening with this woman, her believing that they'd be this power couple, a couple that would pop up on the headline society page. Now, as an engagement gift, Madame Doinko wanted to gift Dimitri the Venus de Wallo. It's basically a very valuable statue, and to his eyes that's all about money. He was basically faking his love for Madame Doinko. All he wanted was money. He was basically delusional. That did not end up happening. And at the same time, Carmelita and Doinko find the room in which art was being forged. And with that, his art forgery basically came to an end. He was exposed. So what happened next for Dimitri? Well, he escapes without no one noticing. And that's when the Paris episode takes place. Cool fact, Sly 2 had a cut episode in Monaco. For unknown reasons, the level was removed from product. And according to Sucker Punch, this level took about 6 to 8 months to develop. Remember, Dimitri only had one episode. The rest of the Claw Gang had more than one. So you might wonder, okay, yeah, Monaco must have been an episode for Dimitri. The level was going to feature a casino, with the gang crashing into it with a yacht with the help of Bentley, you know, that sort of stuff. Now looking at issue number 1, Dimitri's mansion is in fact located in Monaco. We'd like to assume the cut portion of Sly 2 made its way into the comic instead, acting as a prequel to Sly 2. Another cool fact, Paris had a cut mission involving a chopper. This footage courtesy of Goo. While this mission is from a Sly 2 E3 demo disc, it's alpha footage. Bentley needs access to Dimitri's courtyard. They notice a chopper. Sly grabs onto it and lands himself in the courtyard. The team at Sucker Punch probably thought, wait a minute, Sly can climb and jump. Sly doesn't need a chopper to reach a certain area in Paris. What's interesting about this chopper, no, I'm not referring to how it's untextured, rather, Dimitri's means to travel. He must have taken this chopper to reach Paris, to some extent. At least that's what I like to believe. An average helicopter has speed of about 250 kilometers per hour. The distance from Monaco to Paris is about 690 kilometers, airborne travel, which equals to 2 hours and 45 minutes of air travel. Would he have used a car to reach Paris? I mean, realistically, it would have taken him 9 hours to cover 950 kilometers. I mean, think about it. A plane or a chopper compared to a car, I mean a car, you're using inside roads. So naturally it's going to take much, much longer. Do you even see Dimitri as a kind of guy who would risk being on the road for 9 hours? Would he risk that? Now at the end of the day, this chopper could have been something else. Heck, this chopper probably had absolutely nothing to do with the way he traveled to Paris. Now looking at this cut mission, there's also a sequence with failed mission. It's very standard, as you can see. It was very early in development. It is alpha footage, don't forget. Speaking of Goo, you can find a bunch of cool early footage over on the user's channel, be it trailers, E3 alpha footage, cut missions. It's there, go check it out if you're interested. The link to the channel will be in the description below. With that said, Dimitri eventually joins the Claw Gang. I mean, think about it. With his art forgery now exposed, what source of money is there? I mean, he's already within the realm of criminal activity. So, the Claw Gang, I guess, appeared to him, and he thought it'd be a good way of making money. Now, in the Cairo Museum during gameplay, you probably noticed some art of Dimitri, forged. You then wonder, why is his art in the museum when his art forgery got exposed in the comic? Well, times like these you just wonder, is there really an explanation to these sort of things? Like, this could probably just be a mere Easter egg or trivia sort of thing. I mean, if you want to come up with an explanation or excuse, you could just say, well, not all of his art got taken down, even if his art forgery got exposed. But still, this could just be like an Easter egg, something we just can't really explain, something that's just there. The whole premise of the Claw Gang was money, a spice operating business, with a hidden agenda of arpeggio, once you reach the ending of Sly 2. The clockwork parts eventually get stolen from the museum. Everyone from the Claw Gang uses it for their own benefit. As for Dimitri, he used the modified tail feathers to print counterfeit money. It just goes to show how he's obsessed with gaining money. He'll do anything in his power to gain money. Not only that, he also had his spice operation in the background, sending out spice to people to consume in the club, which ultimately was Arpeggio's hidden plan to make everyone more susceptible to hypnosis. Before Sly tries to stop Dimitri, he bribes Sly. You see the money? You like the money? This dude's all about money, very blinded by it. He doesn't care what anyone says. For a guy who loves money, he sure can move fast. And you know the rest. Dimitri gets incarcerated, and the club gets shut down. After some time in prison, about a year actually. If you take into account the ages of our characters, I mean Sly and the gang were 20 in Sly 2 and 21 in Sly 3. Did someone bail him out, or am I missing something here? That was a very short sentence. I mean, he gets put behind bars in Sly 2, is let out soon after, and becomes an instructor on a cruise ship, according to the credits of Sly 2, and he did gain popularity by doing so. In Sly 3, during the first mission in Italy, Venice, Dimitri is found under Carmelita's watch. He was caught again for some reason. We don't know what he did, but he's behind bars. For some reason, he wound up in the situation, and knowing how he turns out of control sometimes, when it comes to money, I'm not surprised. This happened to him again. His first reaction when seeing Sly, he shouts. Sly has no choice but to make a deal with him, to make him shut up. Sly's deal? Well, capture the guards' attention while Dimitri escapes. Now, before he escapes, he tells Sly he'll help them locate Murray. That right there reveals a side of Dimitri we've never seen before. He really is a deal kind of guy. Very reciprocal. You help me, and I help you. Even in Sly 2, actually, before he got captured, he told Sly, let's just handle this in a way where you take everything and leave. What was Dimitri planning in his head during this segment? That he would escape and leave Sly with counterfeit money. See this right here? Dimitri assumed that Sly would be okay to live with counterfeit money. You know, him believing that money solves everything. That's what Dimitri thought. That was his mindset. That's why he loved pursuing money his whole life. Sly believes it's wrong. Counterfeit money? No way. So after Dimitri leaves Venice, he's later discovered in Holland during the ACES competition. He appeared to be working as a bartender, expressing how he himself has many profiles because Sly was kinda confused about his presence over there, but Dimitri said, well yeah, I'm a person with style and all that. Sly feels Dimitri will spill out some information, like the roster for the competition. Dimitri agreed, only on one condition, the gang owing him a favor in the months to come. Sly agrees and they go on with their mission. Dimitri later on is heard commentating Sly's victory during the semifinals. Sometime later, Dimitri contacts Bentley via ThiefNet to remind them of the favor they owed him. They are asked to travel to the Caribbean's Bloodbath Bay to try and retrieve Remy Lousteau's diving gear, which he used during his underground loot-searching adventure. You know, the diving gear of his grandfather. A pirate by the name Black Spot Pete stole his gear, and Remy retired to raise a family afterwards. Thus, the Lousteau line was expanded, and we got Dimitri. So about the favor, help Dimitri find that gear of his grandfather's. They later discover its whereabouts on Dagger Island. Unfortunately, the map Black Spot Pete had hidden got stolen by Lefouy. The team managed to find the gear, the map, and everything. Penelope gets taken. The gang retreats to their hideout, as told by Lefouy, and they plan out their next move. That's where Dimitri comes in. With his apparent diving skills. Beautiful, ain't it? A skill passed down to Dimitri from his grandfather. Since he did live on a bunch of stories of his grandpapa, well, it's likely he learned a thing or two. He dives down to retrieve amplification collars for their ship, you know, to try and defeat Lefouy by destroying his ship. They manage to defeat Lefouy afterwards. Dimitri decides to become the team's frogman or diver for their next mission. You know, knowing Dimitri's past, he could have easily just said, his time is up, time to go back and do my own thing. But no, he willingly joined the team afterwards, knowing that it'd probably be dangerous. It's like he finally enjoyed this feeling of actually being helpful. It's not about the money anymore, but just being there to help someone just felt good to him. Growing up with the stories of his grandfather's adventures, to actually experience that, diving and all that, it gave rise to his other hidden self, the innocent boy in this picture. Dimitri was so engulfed into the criminal side of things that he had lost sight of his inner self. Heck, the team wasn't even expecting to have Dimitri join them afterwards, at least willingly. Once the gang makes it to Cane Island, while Sly's cane ends up in the deep ocean. Before he goes in after the cane, we see a bit of the macho side of Dimitri, trying to impress Penelope. Dude, trust me, don't do it. Who better than Dimitri to go get it, right? The cane I'm talking about. While trying to dive for the cane, he stumbles upon Dr. M. He manages to beat him underwater, but unfortunately, the cane wasn't retrieved. So after all that, where did Dimitri fit in all this? Well, the team disbanded and he pursued a skin diver career, gaining popularity among women. A postcard was sent to Bentley. Now some time passes before the events of Sly 4. The amount of time between the ending of Sly 3 and the beginning of Sly 4 was never specified. To our surprise, Dimitri gets featured. The first sight of him was in the promotional video. To be precise, it was an E3 debut trailer back in 2011. The game released in 2013. Whatever the number of years that passed between Sly 3 and 4, enough time had passed to allow Dimitri to even enter the gang's hideout, albeit the first time according to Bentley.
I'm not your cheesy macaroni, Sly Cooper. You good? Dimitri!
Bentley, this is the last time we ever leave Dimitri in charge of the hideout.
It was also the first time.
Looking at this, one would think Dimitri was framing Sly because he was dressed as him, and not only that, it appears he learned a skill or two of Sly's, hanging off ropes and all that. I mean, if you're someone who's close to Sly Cooper, I mean, eventually you might learn a thing or two. So at that instant, him dressed up as Sly and stealing something, you feel like none of it makes sense. If he's now friends with the Cooper gang, why would he try to frame Sly? In Sly 4, don't forget, Carmelita was looking for Sly. Sly was still a wanted thief. So why would Dimitri make the situation a lot worse for Sly? Now do keep in mind, this was posted in 2011. The game wasn't complete yet, we can assume. If you want this to be canon within the timeline, well, you could just say Dimitri was taking advantage of Sly being a wanted thief. Heck, if anything, Sly returned the item later. Press circle to doubt. But the most important thing of Sly 4, apart from the promotional video, the gang now trusts Dimitri enough to let him guard the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly's family heirloom. Well, actually, about the word heirloom, would you consider the Sly cane as an heirloom or the book? After all, you can't have a Thievius Raccoonus without a Cooper. This is something Sly said in Sly 1 to Clockwork. The point is, Dimitri had the Thievius Raccoonus in his hands. A guy who was a criminal in Sly 2, now entrusted to look after the book. Why do that? because they trusted him enough to tell the gang what's happening in the present while they go time travel to try and fix everything the paradox caused. Bentley gave Dimitri this device even that will let him communicate through any time period. If you were to show this to someone in the early 2000s, they'd be like, what the heck? Dimitri, out of all people, being given the Thievius Raccoonus? It just goes to show how far this character has come in terms of development. He even shows signs of worry when Sly disappeared with no trace. This right here, this is a spark of genuine friendship. At least that's what Dimitri feels. If you were to ever doubt Dimitri's friendship with the Cooper gang, just rewatch this clip. From someone who grew into criminal activity, assuming that's the perfect way in life, probably due to his father, to someone who realizes that actually being genuine can give you the recognition you desire, I mean, that's Dimitri for you. Despite his ego, Dimitri is a man of his word, and his time with the Cooper gang proves that. His time with the Cooper gang gave him the chance to fulfill or experience what he missed as a kid. I mean, you can't help but wonder, did Dimitri ever have real friends before this whole Cooper gang situation? Yes, he did have guards in Sly 2, but can we really call those friends? All those people were working for Dimitri because he was rich. Dimitri finally got the chance to know what genuine friendship feels like, despite the gang still feeling annoyed by him sometimes. But yeah, this is something he was probably never able to experience at a young age. To actually feel trusted and have people to talk to, the privilege of having real friends. This is the point we can say Dimitri has reached in his life. So with that being said, folks, this is it for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. As usual, if you have any questions, your own theories, or stuff like that, leave everything in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.